Hi folks, my name is Omid Dariani. I'm the Senior Brand Manager for the Everquest franchise. I'm here today with Terry Michaels, the Senior Producer of Everquest Next. And we're here to talk about the next roundtable question, which is, should Ratanga be in Everquest Next?
Yeah.
And so I have a note here that says, WTF rat,
Yeah.
which, I think that, so what it is really is, Ratanga are only in Everquest 2.
Right.
And there's a long history of having rats in other games. Like, I immediately think of the Skaven. But can you tell us a little bit, like if you didn't play EQ2, what are Ratanga?
Yeah, well, Ratonga are a rat-based race, just like it sounds from their name. And they're one of our beast races, but they're one of the cuter races that the players in EQ2 really seem to have gravitated to.
They're a little ratatouille, right?
Yeah, well, no, definitely not. But the idea was with the question, right, is that we wanted to find out what people who didn't play EQ2 thought about the Ratonga and whether or not they'd be interested in playing them. So it was really a question sort of, that was our initial intent with it.
So I think that, as we saw, people are generally interested in having them, or perhaps some of the people didn't really have the awareness because they didn't play EQ2.
Right.
So what was your take? What were people saying?
Well, it was actually really interesting because there was a large portion of the people that were talking about the question, but they were taking it farther than what we had first put in the question. They were asking like, well, what would it be in comparison to other races? What are we making a choice here of? Or a lot of people were talking about how it would be cool to have the Ratonga unlocked through some sort of like big effort on the server. Maybe one of the rallying calls or something like that we've talked about in the past. And of course, there were tons of people that were talking about the other races and their favorites. And this, everybody's favorite race is always a great topic because they gravitate to the things they've played in the past.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I think what we've seen, and we've seen it on other questions as well, is when we offer the choice of more or less option space, we generally see votes for more option space.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we include a particular race? Why would we reduce option space?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, both EQ and EQ2 have done it in the past where you have something like a race that's unlocked by a large quest, so people actually get a substantial reward for their efforts in the game. So one of the things we're considering right now is whether or not we want to do something like that with some other races in the game. Not just the Ratonga, but other ones that we haven't talked about yet, where we may hold them back so that we can do something awesome with them as part of the story of the game.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And so this is also something where we recently released another roundtable question that could be viewed as a modification of this question, which is about what is your favorite small race?
Yeah, it really was. What we found is when people were talking about this one that they really wanted to talk about the races in groups. What was their favorite, the froglock or the gnome or the halfling or the troll or the ixar, whatever it was. So we really wanted to have a question out there that gave us a little more context for people's answers, so that when we found out how people felt, we could assimilate it a little bit better into the decisions that we're going to make.
Oh, that's awesome. And I think it's always like the most exciting conversation.
Yeah.
Far more than what's your favorite class, though we see a lot of that too.
Yes.
What is your favorite race? People get really, really involved in this because they've been doing it for years. They've been playing a froglock for years. They've been playing a gnome their entire career, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and in our game, even more so than the previous ones, because in EverQuest 2, they only had 15 races at launch, and EverQuest had 12. So it's really limited choices. And with our class structure, which is much broader, as the race is going to actually be a fairly identifying characteristic of the players. So they're really going to gravitate towards it in our game.
Absolutely. And with the other roundtable question we have about should all races have access to all classes, race becomes even more important.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's a topic for another day.
Yes.
So I think that's it for this week. I want to thank Terry very much for showing up, and thank all of you guys for participating on the roundtable. It's really helpful. As you can see, this question actually led us into another question, so the debate internally is evolving. So thanks so much for your time. We'll see you on the roundtable.
Thanks.
Sony.